All right, this is a Cooler Courage, or no, this is not the Cooler Courage, sorry, and small engine issues. This is a UP170, which is United Power 170. It's 208 cc. Basically what happened was I got to the point where if you tried to start it, it would basically rotate almost one complete revolution and then stop. Then you could, and it was like a hard stop, and then you could rotate it the other way, basically one revolution obviously, and then hit the same hard stop. Now when that was occurring, this should be the exhaust valve, I believe, because it has the cap right there. This was the only one moving, only valve moving, okay? So I seen another video of a guy working on a Generac, which this was a Generac Centurion 3250. He was working on like a 7700, and he basically tore his whole thing down. There's all the other various parts. There's the oil that came out of it, whatever. So it's no longer doing what it was doing, but I cannot see what's going on. I actually believe that the piston rings may be hanging up, or they are digging into the cylinder. I'm sure this has like some iron sleeves. Another thing that I wanted to point out, this is a Chinese product, obviously. When I was taking off this, not the cover, I was taking off that piece right there. 4 bolts hold it on. Alright, and it's bolted to that, basically like your rear case, cover, whatever you want to call it. All these bolts say they are 8.8 or 8.8 bolts. I don't think the Chinese know what an 8.8 bolt is, or a grade 8 bolt, because these shouldn't have broke. Hardly no pressure applied to them at all, and they both snapped. The other two came out okay. So I got the rods out. The push rods are out because after watching that other guy's video, I thought maybe one of my tappets had slid in there and basically was hitting the cam and creating a hard stop. But now there's no hard stop because I can turn this freely by hand. But you can hear that it sounds scratchy. Now it doesn't sound scratchy at all. So the next option would be, I believe, is to take the head off, probably pull the cylinder, or pull the piston from the cylinder and check the cylinder to see if it needs like maybe a little bit of rehoning and maybe some new rings. But what's weird is, like, literally this motor hadn't even been used very much. The power went out. Her dad tried to start it. He pulled it 2 or 3 times because we were out of town, and then it wouldn't pull anymore. So in that short period of time, something happened to this basically brand new motor, which if you read about these, it's kind of a common thing. Some people buy them, don't use them, pull them out of the box, and boom, they don't work. And they probably should have checked them out as soon as they got them. I don't think I paid a whole lot for this. I eventually bought a used Coleman PowerMate 6250 with a Briggs & Stratton, which was much bigger than this little guy. But with the quarantine going on, I figured, hey, that generator's been sitting there for like 2 or 3 years. I started researching about what motor was on it, and I found the other guy's video on YouTube. And his video looked pretty simple about tearing it down and trying to diag what's wrong. So that's where I'm at. I'll let you know if I figure anything out. The nice thing is the parts diagram for this motor, they're pretty well documented, and there's good parts diagrams in places where you can order every single piece of this motor, which is kind of shocking because if you think about it, oh, it's, Chinese cheap made 208cc tapered shaft motor, you would think it'd be impossible to find parts, but what I've seen online is that you can literally order every piece of this motor. So I guess we'll see what happens. Thanks. Alright, still messing with this. Now here's something interesting. When I laid it back into the normal orientation that this motor would set, meaning the drain plugs are on the bottom, the mount holes are on the bottom, choke up top right here, I start experiencing the hard stop again. But as you notice, I can get past it. So now there's a hard stop again. Now it's pinched. Grabbing a rag here. It's very hard to hold. Hold on a second. Alright, I got it. Something is basically binding up. There it is. And now with the motor off, I can't even go the other direction without using both hands. Let me see if I can use a screwdriver here to... There we go. I believe, I could be totally wrong, that perhaps that the piston rings may be gone, which would be extremely weird because there was no metal shavings in the oil, so it doesn't make any sense to me. Or maybe that their tolerance is so sloppy that it's creating a pinch, but I'm really not sure.